Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about a sad story. Julia Simmons lived with Stephen Nicholas, who was divorced and worked as a day trader in a 3-bedroom house near Portland, Oregon. Julia met Stephen online when she needed a place to live. She thought Stephen was nice. While they lived together, Stephen met Julia's daughter, Ronda, who was 20 years old. Stephen, who was 10 years older than Ronda, thought she was really beautiful. Stephen fell in love with Ronda because she was not only beautiful, but also had a great personality. Surprisingly, Ronda liked him back, so they started dating. Their relationship got serious, and they decided to live together in Stephen's condo. During this time, Stephen got close to Ronda's family, especially her sisters Melanie and Tessa. Tessa was just 9 years old when they started dating, and she enjoyed Stephen's company because he was fun and playful. Years passed and Stephen and Ronda lived together as a couple, but they never got married. Ronda often thought about marrying Stephen, but it never happened. She had a baby girl instead, and being a mom became the most important thing to her. Her daughter was everything to her, and she cherished every moment with her. Ronda loved being a mom and spending time with her daughter, but she also wanted to restart her modeling career. According to Stephen, after their daughter was born, Ronda felt really heavy and bad about herself. Stephen said they agreed to hike the 25 best trails in Oregon together to lose weight. Stephen thought everything was going well in their relationship, and they rarely argued. But Ronda's friends had a different story. They said Ronda told them about Stephen being abusive. Once, Ronda even took pictures of bruises on her back caused by a fight with Stephen. On March 16, 2009, Stephen and 23-year-old Ronda went hiking on the Eagle Creek Trail. While they were walking, Ronda joked with her mom over text about Stephen proposing or throwing her off a cliff. The weather was nice, but Stephen said Ronda started acting strange and asked him about taking care of their daughter if anything happened to her. As the weather got worse, Stephen told Ronda it was time to go home. Instead of turning back, Stephen claimed Ronda wrapped a towel around herself like Supergirl and ran down the slippery path. Stephen said he saw her slip and fall off the trail about 150 feet down. He went down to where she fell because he couldn't call for help and held her body. He tried to call 911 but had no service, so he had to leave Ronda behind. Stephen said he walked to where he could call for help. Later that day, rescue workers took Ronda's body. At her memorial service, Stephen showed no emotion according to Ronda's family. But Stephen says he was crying a lot and wanted to be alone because he gets really sad. After Ronda died, Stephen packed up and moved with their daughter to the other side of Oregon to live near his family. This made Ronda's family suspicious about what happened between them before her death. In 2006, Stephen moved from the United States to China with his daughter. He settled in Wuxi, a city near Shanghai, where he taught English to Chinese business people. His daughter quickly adjusted to life in China and learned Mandarin. Stephen fell in love with a woman named Landy Yin Yan, who became like a mother to his daughter. After a year of dating, Stephen asked Landy to marry him, and she said yes. In February 2015, Stephen and his daughter flew back to the United States to get married. They decided to have 2 ceremonies, one in America and one in China, to include both their families and friends. Stephen and his daughter arrived in the United States a day before his fiancée. When they landed in San Francisco to catch their next flight to Oregon, an officer approached Stephen about his bag. This encounter started a series of events that changed his life forever. Minutes later, police arrived and separated Stephen from his daughter. Unbeknownst to him, detectives had been investigating Ronda's death while he was in China. They suspected Stephen was responsible for her fall from Eagle Creek. Ronda's mother had kept pushing for the investigation to continue. The police arrested Stephen at the airport for Ronda's murder and took him back to Oregon. Stephen couldn't believe it, hoping it was all a dream and he'd wake up in China with his fiancée Landy. But it was real. His bail was set at $2 million at first, but later reduced to $250,000. After spending 14 months in jail awaiting trial, he was released with an ankle monitor. When Ronda's family learned Stephen was arrested, they were relieved, feeling justice was finally served. Stephen's attorney took his team to the Eagle Creek Trail to conduct experiments to prove Ronda's fall was an accident, not murder. They argued that it's a popular hiking area, suggesting Ronda slipped and fell. During one of Stephen's early court hearings, the doctor who examined Ronda's body after she fell from Eagle Creek said Ronda's injuries were only below her waist. This was important for Stephen's defense because they said Ronda might have hurt herself on purpose. Stephen's lawyers said the way Ronda landed caused her injuries, and they showed proof that she fell feet first, not head over heels like someone pushed her. They also wanted to use notes from Ronda's therapy sessions as evidence. These notes said Ronda felt sad, but never talked about wanting to end her life. Ronda herself said she and Stephen didn't have a loving relationship. Stephen's lawyers used all this to say Ronda might have chosen to hurt herself, not that Stephen pushed her. Later, Stephen said Ronda had been sad and tried to hurt herself before they met, but Ronda's family said this wasn't true and accused Stephen of lying. Stephen was saying Ronda hurt herself on purpose to make people focus on her, not him, because he killed her. According to Stephen, Ronda had problems with drugs since she was 12. He said she tried lots of drugs and tested different substances. The medical examiner's report, however, only mentioned the presence of minute amounts of marijuana and the prescription medication that Ronda was taking for anxiety and depression as a result of her postpartum depression. Disturbing evidence surfaced during the preliminary hearings in T's murder, revealing Stephen's involvement. It was revealed that Stephen had been in a romantic relationship with Melanie, Ronda's 16-year-old sister. This revelation raised eyebrows because Stephen was in his 30s and Melanie was still a minor. The state presented the court with the argument that Stephen's inappropriate relationship with Melanie could have served as a motive for killing Ronda. After Stephen was arrested for the murder of Ronda, she learned of her husband's actions behind her back, which caused tensions and raised the possibility that he was planning to kill her. He was charged with 2 counts of third-degree sexual assault and 3 counts of third-degree sodomy related to his relationship with Melanie Casto, Ronda's sister's girlfriend. While awaiting trial for the murder of Ronda in 2005, Stephen entered a guilty plea to 2 counts of sexual abuse. I had 2 sexual encounters with Melanie Casto, but Stephen said he was forced to confess to the abuse and that his statement was false. Stephen said he only filed the plea because it would give him the legal opportunity to challenge the situation and possibly win back custody of his daughter. In contrast, the state asserted that Stephen and Melanie's relationship lasted more than 4 years. Later, Stephen would acknowledge having a sexual relationship with Ronda's teenage sister. The state produced a text message proving this. Before she and Stephen went on that fatal hike on Eagle Creek the day she fell to her death, Ronda texted her teenage sister Melanie, who was having an extramarital affair. Ronda called Stephen a piece of crap and claimed he damaged her by using Melanie. Ronda's mother claimed that Ronda was aware that Stephen was attempting to cause friction between Melanie and herself. She stated, "Not everything was right in the relationship between Ronda and Stephen," as Stephen claimed the court was given more evidence indicating that Stephen had a deviant sexual past. It was revealed that just 6 months after the death of his daughter Ronda, Stephen was arrested and charged with 5 counts of sexual abuse for allegedly touching a 13-year-old girl. Stephen denied these allegations and maintained his innocence. Ronda loved her little sister and wanted to mend their relationship, according to the state. But later, he said he sent a message that had sexual hints and a picture of himself without a shirt to the victim. He knew it wasn't right and admitted to 1 count of sexual harassment. During one of Stephen's early court hearings, the state showed pictures Ronda took of her bruised back. Ronda's best friend said she heard Ronda and Stephen argue a few times while talking on the phone with Ronda. Additionally, Stephen's ex-wife testified that he tried to suffocate her and throw her off their apartment balcony in November 2003. Regarding this incident, Stephen was not prosecuted in China. and he refuted the accusations. The family of Ronda is convinced that her lover Stephen killed her in order to profit from a life insurance policy he had taken out on her. This belief was heightened after her mother voiced her concerns, saying that Stephen had lost. Everyone who knew Ronda can attest to the fact that she had a deep love for her 9-month-old daughters, and that there is no way she would have taken her own life by jumping from Eagle Creek in May 2017. Ronda's family was shocked and horrified. Ronda had lost a significant amount of money through day trading the previous year and was not financially stable. When they found out the state and defense had agreed on a deal, Stephen admitted to a lesser charge of criminally negligent homicide. Even though the state thought he killed her, they knew they didn't have enough proof that he pushed her off the trail at Eagle Creek. Stephen got credit for the time he spent in jail waiting for trial, but he had to be on parole for 3 years. They took off his ankle monitor, and he was free. T's family and friends didn't think the deal was fair. They thought he should have gotten a harsher punishment. During Stephen's sentencing, Ronda's sister spoke and told him how angry and hurt she was. Ronda's mom said she couldn't understand how Stephen could take her daughter away. Stephen said he didn't push Ronda, but he took the deal because he wanted to get custody of his daughter back. He said he was ready to face the consequences for his daughter's sake. But Ronda's family and friends still didn't believe him. In a 2018 interview, Stephen said something shocking about what happened to Ronda. He claimed she was still alive when she fell. When Stephen went down Eagle Creek Trail and found Ronda, the interviewer asked if he had ended her suffering that day. Stephen responded by asking a hypothetical question. If you shoot your friend in war because you see how much pain he's in, is that murder? He said it could be seen as justified, even though it's still killing someone. Stephen never said outright that he hurt Ronda, but his words hinted that he might have been involved in what happened to her. In 2017, Ronda's mom applied for Social Security benefits for Ronda's baby daughter. She said the baby lived with her and promised to use the benefits for the baby's care. But the state said the baby actually lived with Ronda's mom from April 2010 to December 2014, not the whole time as she claimed. She had actually been living with her dad, Stephen. The state accused Ronda's mom of stealing almost $40,000 in government funds over 5 years. Ronda's mom's lawyers said she was trying to stop Stephen from getting custody of their daughter. She didn't want Stephen to benefit from the $1 million life insurance policy he took out on Ronda. They said Ronda's mom was just trying to protect her granddaughter and make sure she wasn't taken advantage of. The defense said Ronda's mom had been depressed, especially after Ronda died. She used marijuana to cope, but it clouded her judgment. The judge sentenced Ronda's mom, who was 53, to 1 month in a halfway house and 3 years of probation after she admitted to stealing government funds. She also had to pay back the money she stole. Ronda and Stephen's daughter had been in foster care since October 2015 when Stephen admitted to abusing a 13-year-old girl. Because of this, an Oregon court took away Stephen's rights as a parent, but Stephen appealed this decision.